Today we are talking about creating a virtual storefront. I should always do the moving around things on my screen before I start, and then I always forget. And yeah, okay. I've had a problem with my mouse when I'm presenting on Zoom recently. Anyway, right, that's what we're here to learn about, creating a virtual storefront with shops. If you haven't met me before, my name is Amanda Webb, and I work with businesses to help them develop strategies for their digital marketing, including their social media, of course, of which Facebook and Instagram are a huge part. My business is called Spiderworking, but I am essentially a one-person business. So thanks for joining me today. What we're going to look at is what a shop on Facebook and Instagram is. We're going to look at how you can create a shop if you're creating it for the first time in Commerce Manager. We're going to look at how you can customize your shop so that it fits in with the branding that you're using for your business elsewhere. So let's start with that first question. What is a shop? So we know what a real shop looks like. We even know what a website looks like. But today we're talking about Facebook and Instagram shops. And this means that you can create a shopping experience for your customers on Facebook and Instagram. It is completely free to use. And when you create the shop, that means your customers from Facebook and Instagram can browse your products without leaving those social networks. And you know that a lot of people, you know, if they're on Instagram, they don't want to click a link to a website. They just want to have a browse. And it's a really good way to have your shop front there to get people in, to get them browsing, much as they might if they were walking past a real shop. And as a seller, you can use your shops to manage your inventory and to grow your business online. So to set up your online storefront, you can make shopping safe and convenient for your customers. And there's a few places that this will allow your customers to discover your shop. So on top of you actually having it and applying your own wares, there's a good chance people will be able to discover your shop elsewhere. So firstly, if they visit your profile on Facebook and Instagram, you can add a shop now button to that and it will bring them through to all your products for them to browse through. You can have a swipe up on Instagram, which will bring people into a collection. We'll talk about what collections are in a little while. So in your stories on Instagram and Facebook, it's not going to link to your website, but it's going to link directly to the product. So it's a really good way to get people into your shop there. And you can tag products in the feed. So when you post to Facebook and Instagram, you'll be able to tag the products that you sell in your shop. People will be able to click through to look at them in more detail and then visit your website to check out, which I think is brilliant. It's just a really good way to get discovered. So how do you set this up? You need to use a tool called Commerce Manager. And before you get that, there are a few things that you need to have that will allow you to do more. So firstly, you need to be a business manager or a business suite admin. I'm not sure how many of you were on the session where we talked about business suite last week. So that's not the mobile app. This is the one that you visit on your desktop, and you need to be the admin on the business suite account. If you're unsure if you have that or not, once you're logged into your Facebook account, go to business.facebook.com and it'll either encourage you to set up an account or it'll bring you straight into Business Suite. You need to make sure that your Facebook page and your Instagram business account are all connected to that business suite, because that means that you can connect it to your shop. That's where everything happens. That you have managed permissions for your Facebook page. So there's different levels of admin just to make sure you have the manage setting. You should do if it's your own business. If you're working for someone else, you might need to get them to give you that level of admin. And you do need to be a manager on the catalog permissions. You do need your own website as well, because that's where the transaction will be completed. So once you've got that and you know everything's good to go, you can start setting up your shop in Commerce Manager. So within Business Suite, there's a menu. Sometimes it's 3 little white lines, sometimes it's a bundle of squares. And when you click on that, It's way down the bottom. If you haven't used it before, you have to scroll to the bottom of the menu to get to Commerce Manager, but that's where all the shop setting up happens. And when you go there, click on Get Started. Actually, on my Commerce Manager, it says Set Up Shop. So it will be obvious. It'll be pretty clear what you need to do. Then you need to choose how you're going to manage your shop. So you might want to do it all through Commerce Manager, which is the Facebook page. And that means you can input all your products one by one. Or you can do it if you've got a Shopify account or WooCommerce a lot of the e-commerce platforms will hook up directly to Facebook, which will just save you so much time inputting products. Then you need to decide how you want to manage your shop. Did I say that already? I'm in one of those moments where I'm going, I'm sure I said that already. Then you need to select how you want customers to purchase from you. So for us in Ireland at the moment and in Europe at the moment, there's two options. You can send people through to your website to finally make the purchase, or you can get them to send you a direct message. In the United States, there's the option to be able to check out on Facebook and Instagram. And I'm imagining at some stage they'll try and roll that out to other regions. I just think there's red tape in the way. That's why we don't have it yet, but that will really help as well. And when people click the buy button, they'll be directed to your website just to finish the transaction. So, and they'll also be able to click from the product to see more on your website about that. So you've attracted their attention on Facebook. Now they're ready to buy. The rest of the magic happens there. Or by direct message, they'll be prompted when they're browsing to click the direct message button, and they'll direct message you, and you can send them the details on how they can purchase from you as well. Choose where you want to set up your shop. So when you go into Commerce Manager and you go through this process, it will show you your pages and your Instagram account. So you can choose which of those you want to sell on. And you'll be able to select an existing catalog. So that could be one that you're bringing through Shopify or one you've created before, or you can start from scratch. So before you finish off, just double check everything. Make sure there's no spelling errors. Make sure everything looks like it's right. Have a look at the merchant agreement so that you know what the rules are, and then click Create Your Shop.
There's just a wee question in the chat here, Amanda. Sorry to interrupt. Yep. Pel's asking, should you have cut out imagery of your product photos?
I would have good imagery of your photo. So it could be, I imagine you're talking about cutting it out from the background. You know, that can look really good as long as it's really good imagery. You know, sometimes lifestyle shots can work really well. You know, if you've got something in the position in a beautiful home and you're selling something that's a homeware, sometimes that can work better. I think the key thing is creating the best images you possibly can that really showcase your products. There's nothing more than it's too far away, so you can't really see what it is that people are buying, or that it's really low light, or it's really orangey light. That can really put people off. So cutout is definitely one way you can go, particularly if you're taking your own photos and you haven't got a good background. But if possible, I would always like to see it in a lifestyle position. Hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Amanda. And Elaine's just asked as well here, should you tag products before you set up the shop, or can this be done later?
You have to tag shop. You can only tag products once you've set up the shop. You can't do it until you've got them in your shop. So that's the thing. And then people can click through to the products. You can't tag it. This is the one thing that gets in the way of you tagging. So if you don't have a shop, you can't do that. Right, so to make your shop a little bit more your own, to customize it a bit so it doesn't look like, Acme shop on Facebook, there's a few things you can do. You can add collections to your shop, and collections are a bit like categories that you might have. So you might want to break down your stock into different areas. If you were a clothing shop, you might have like bags, shoes, dresses. That's one way that you can look at it. And what it does, it just makes it so much easier for customers to navigate your shop. When they go in, because their attention's grabbed, they can see the options of the different things that they are interested in buying. It's a really handy way of just keeping them interested in what you're doing. So when you're creating collections, obviously you can do that. You can create your categories, but you could also create collections around seasonal events. So I know people don't want to say Christmas yet, but you want to start thinking about collections maybe you could put together for gifts for him, gifts for her, gift for mum, gift for children. Promotions, any promotions that you're having. So if you've got a sale, you can have a sale collection. Any upcoming launches that you're having, so new stock that's coming in, or any trends that are popular right now. Those are things that you could think of beyond the categories of your products. So we're going to go through briefly how to create a collection. There is a worksheet for today as well. So don't worry if you don't manage to make notes of everything that I'm covering. You'll be able to get that in the workbook as well. So you will go into that Commerce Manager. You will see your shop builder on the left-hand side in Commerce Manager. Click on the home page, click Manage Collections. Then you click on Add New. Then you click on, there's lots of clicking, Create New Collection. And then you have the option to select items from your catalogue that you want to add to the collection. And once you've finished doing all that, you click on Confirm. That's more clicks than I expected to happen there. There you go, you click on Confirm. And once you've clicked on Confirm, you can add some additional details and change the layout, and then click Publish. And when you publish it, that gets sent off to Facebook for review. They just want to make sure that whatever you're selling fits into the merchant agreement and the things that you are and aren't allowed to sell on Facebook. And that happens every time you do any edit on your shop. So that's collections, and that's probably the most powerful way, because I mean, it really does keep people browsing. When you think about it, when you go into a shop, you're not just looking at one item, you're browsing through similar items to choose the one that you want. The second way you can customize your shop is through editing your shop's homepage, where you can feature different collections and different products depending on what your customers want to see. You can make your shop your own and customize the shopping experience. And one of the things that you can do is to feature the most relevant product for each customer by selecting dynamic products. And what this does is it taps into Facebook's database about what it knows about the people that are on Facebook. It knows the sort of things that are most likely to attract their attention. So when you do dynamic products, it will customize that experience for each individual person who visits your shop, which could result in better sales for you. So to edit your shop's homepage, we're back into Shop Builder. Click on Add New. Choose whether you want to feature collections and products with your own image, or show a preview of the top 4 products in the collection in a grid. And once you've selected what you want to feature, you can edit the text, you can edit the title, you can edit the image, and then click Publish. So it publishes to your shop. Again, it goes into review. So you may need to wait. You will get a notification once stuff is reviewed to know whether it got through or not. And finally, for customization, and this is the bit that, well, the other things are great, don't get me wrong, but I think this is really helpful, particularly because you're more than likely going to be sending people through to your website to check out. So by customizing your colors, your text, your buttons, and your image styles, that means that it's not a disconnect. When someone goes to click through to your website, it's the same colors, it's the same style. They'll feel confident that they are secure in buying from you. So there's a few things we can do here. Firstly, you can select your brand colors. So the colors that you're using on your website, you can choose those for your links and your buttons, so it fits in when people get there. You can do that from your shop builder. You go into style, and that's where you can choose your colors for your links and for your buttons. You can also, I'm having to look at my slide because it's not saying what I wanted to say on the slide. You can choose where you want your text alignment. So is it going to be middle, or is it going to be to the left or the right, and the size of your text. You can choose the shape and the color of the buttons that you add as well. So always be looking for that to fit into what happens on your website. It just means your customers are going to be way more confident. Then you click publish, again, goes into review. As I've mentioned, there is a workbook. So this is a really quick run through from me on how to do these things. The workbook will be there for you to have a read at and try this out. I'd love to know if you do have shops, how you're getting on with shops, if you have any questions about shops. Just the key takeaways from today: you should have a look at shops because they're a great way to get your customers to browse, explore and purchase from you. There's great discoverability there. It gives you those extra options so that you can have the swipe up, so that you can tag your products. So it's a really good way to get additional people into your shop. You can add your collections, edit your homepage and your style just to customize your shop to make sure it's consistent with the rest of your brand. And that's it. I'm going to stop sharing now, and really doesn't want me to stop sharing. I'm having the same problem I've been having all week with Zoom. Bear with me 1 second. There we go. Stop sharing. I'm back. So that was a really quick run through. It can take a little while to set up shops. Whenever I set them up for clients in the past, you know, I would set aside a couple of hours to do it. It's not something that you're going to do in 5 minutes to get all that work done and make sure all your products look good.
Amazing. Thanks for that, Amanda. Some really helpful tips in there. I was trying to stop sharing your screen too, but you beat me to it. So okay. I suppose, yeah, if anybody does have any questions, feel free to jump off mute now or pop them into the chat. I know there's been a couple already. Just one from me to start us off, if that's okay. Should people be featuring all of their products in shops, or should they only select a few? What tends
I mean, if you integrate with Shopify or any of your e-commerce platforms, it's going to bring in your whole catalog. And I think that's good because, well, you've got that many products for a reason. I'm sure you've been strategic about choosing the products that you want to sell. So it means that you've just got more opportunity to reach people. If you feel like your inventory is huge and there's something, you know, you don't want to add all that, then you can make products invisible. So you can make some products visible and some not. But then if you have got a large inventory, just be very selective about your collections, because that's going to be the real way that you get people to browse. You want to get them to spend as much time with your shop as possible, because if they don't buy then and there, they're going to remember you the next time they see it pop up.
Amazing. And you'd mentioned there that at the minute in Europe, it's a link to the website where people can buy, or else a direct message. And in I think it was the USA, you said you're able to check out directly on Facebook. Yes. Do you think, is that in the pipeline or is that impossible to tell?
I think they want to do it. I think it means because they're using a system called Facebook Pay. And I'm just guessing here, but I know there are lots of banking laws. So there'll be a lot of red tape they have to get through to get that. Basically, it's like registering as a bank as far as I can work out. So I'd say it's a little while off. And like PayPal or like, what's the other one, Stripe, they do take a percentage of, you know, it's not a free service. So almost I like the fact that they're going to your website to finish, as long as your website's good, right? So I'm sure as soon as they can, they will introduce it because it's a revenue stream for them, and it will mean that shops can like flourish even more, because they do seem to work. I've seen lots of shop posts in my feed when I log into Facebook. So they really are pushing these out to people.
Super. There's a question here in the chat. What is the advantage for customers to buying on Facebook shop rather than direct on your website?
It's more a discoverability thing. So your Facebook shop, people are on a social network. They're not into jumping into a website because sometimes it can be really slow to load, or, you know, they're worried as soon as they get to the website that they're making a commitment to buy, whereas they know when they're browsing on Facebook or Instagram, they've got time to go through it, and it means they don't have to click off to a different social network. So I think from a browsing point of view, it's really good. Obviously, they still have to complete the transaction somewhere else, but at that point, you've excited them enough about what you're selling to get them there. So from a customer's point of view, it means they're unlikely to click anyway, but they can still see your product. They can still see what you're offering, and then you're enticing them over to buy. There's also new ad options, because I'm sure you're all aware of the iOS 14 update that kind of killed a lot of the customer tracking we could do. So when somebody engages with your Facebook shop, you can actually retarget those people. You can build an audience from those people. You can create lookalike audiences from those people. And the iOS 14 update doesn't impact that. So from our point of view, it's a really good way to build audiences to make our ads effective.
Amazing, thank you. I don't see any more questions in the chat. So if you do have any, now is the time to do it before we close up. You did mention sort of whenever you were building the shop there, Amanda, something around, you know, there's a button you could press where basically Facebook knows the type of audience that is going to want.
Dynamic creative.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's what I was looking for. Do you have to put in criteria for that so that?
No, it knows its audience. So for example, you've probably seen it happen yourself. If I go and browse some clothing on Marks and Spencer's, which shows my age, they're always advertising at me, and I do buy from them occasionally. So because I'm engaging with those ads, it knows, oh, she likes, even though I haven't told Facebook my gender, it goes, she likes women's clothes. So it will show me women's clothes from other stores, and specifically the types of clothes that I've been browsing. So it's like it starts understanding me as a customer of Facebook and my likes and my needs. So also, you know, you get things like, I'll look at something to do with Doctor Who and it will show me more Doctor Who stuff and cats. It understands the behavior of your customers, which is a little bit scary, but also really good for us as businesses.
For sure, for sure. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Amanda. I mean, that's quite a bit of information in a short time. So that's, I suppose, why we have the recording there for people to watch back. I did say in the chat that I will forward on the link to the recording and the worksheet following the session. Comments there from Elaine saying, great session, perfect time frame and great pace. Oh, here's another question. Should you have lots of collections by fabric, color, etc.?
I wouldn't go too mad, because it is that choice paralysis thing. You know, you don't want to give people too many options, because there's too many options, they just won't click any. So, you know, I wouldn't go crazy with it. I would test first. I'd try, if I put up, so maybe fabrics is the thing, I'm going to put up this fabrics and see, does that attract people? And then maybe set up another collection for something else, and just, you know, build it a little bit at a time. You don't want to confuse people. That's kind of it.
Perfect, thanks a million. And what payment platforms would you recommend apart from PayPal? Are there open source payment platforms, ?
I'm not a good one to ask for that. I'm not a massive e-commerce specialist. I know a lot of websites use Stripe. I use Stripe. I'm obviously a service-based business. It can cost a lot of money for transfers. I know, I can't really recommend any others. I see a lot of people in services using TransferWise because the fees aren't quite so big. But again, I'm not sure that will work for e-commerce. It's a very kind of services-based business. I don't know, Shopify Pay works here, because Shopify Pay has some really good options, and it's a very fast checkout system. So if you're on Shopify, if that is an option, it's worth looking at that and just see what the fees are going to be, really, and how trustworthy it is. You know, I think Stripe has a really good reputation. I think PayPal has a slightly less good reputation. So, you know, my preference would always be, if somebody's going to pay me via Stripe.
Perfect, thank you, Amanda, and thanks to all of you for joining the session. They are short sessions. We do similar ones on a weekly basis. So following this with the link to the recording and worksheet, I'll also put the link to the upcoming sessions that we're running on everything from shops to you know, Facebook Business Suite and everything in between. So if there's anything of interest, please come along again. And if you do have any questions or any feedback for us, please just get back to me and let me know. We're keen to make these sessions as interactive, engaging, and I suppose as beneficial as possible to all of you. So please let us know what we could be doing, or what, if you're happy enough with what we're doing. Thanks again, Amanda. Brilliant as always, and hopefully we'll see you all shortly.